What if I told you that nearly every death after 70 comes down to the same 4 causes? And what if I also told you that many of those deaths weren't inevitable, but avoidable? Imagine this. You're at home, like every morning. You make your coffee, take your daily pill, feel a slight ache in your chest, or your leg, or your back. Nothing severe, nothing that sends you rushing to the hospital. So you ignore it, because it's happened before. Because at this age, you always feel something, right? But maybe that little symptom was a sign no one taught you to recognize, a whisper from your body, not a scream. Because after 70, the body no longer screams. The body whispers, and those who learn to listen to those whispers have an opportunity many never see. To live better and to live longer. Today we're going to speak plainly. We're going to talk about the 4 most common causes of death after age 70. But not to frighten you. That's not the purpose. This video isn't meant to lock you in your house or stop you enjoying life. On the contrary, it's a tool to empower you, to help you know, to help you recognize, to help you prevent. So you can act today, maybe for yourself, or maybe for someone you love. And there's one more reason to stay until the end. The 4th cause is often the quietest, the one that goes unnoticed, the one many already have every day, without knowing it. But before we begin, I have a simple question for you. Where are you watching from? And how old are you? We love reading your comments because it helps us understand how to support you best. So if you feel comfortable, tell us your age and where in the world you're watching from. This channel is made for you, for people like you who want to live with dignity, health, and awareness. Now then, let's get started, because what you're about to hear today could save your life, or someone you care about. The first major cause of death after 70 is, without a doubt, the best known, yet most ignored, cardiovascular disease. Heart attacks, uncontrolled hypertension, heart failure, arrhythmias. They all belong to the same silent enemy. And it's silent because it often doesn't hurt, because it doesn't arrive with a clear warning, because it doesn't look like in the movies, someone clutching their chest. Sometimes it only feels like slight fatigue, a mild dizziness, a bit of pressure in the neck, or not even that. After 70, the heart changes. It has beaten millions of times. It's pumped blood through your entire body since birth. And in many cases, it's worked harder than it should for decades. Stress, eating habits, lack of movement, or constant worries leave traces. Small, invisible cracks that, over time, accumulate. Charles was 78. He'd retired recently and felt happy to have more time at home. He began to notice he got tired easily. Climbing stairs left him breathless, and in the afternoons his heart pounded. He thought it was just age. His wife urged him to see a doctor, but he said it was normal to feel a bit weaker. No need to overreact. One Sunday, during his afternoon nap, his heart simply stopped. He died of a silent heart attack. He never knew his heart had been warning him for months. We don't want that story to repeat. So listen closely. If you're over 70 and haven't had a checkup in a while, get one. If you tire more easily than usual, if your heart races for no reason, if you notice swelling in your feet or ankles, as if they're filling with fluid, don't ignore it. Those are signals. The good news is that many heart conditions aren't just treatable, they're preventable. Controlling your blood pressure is one of the greatest acts of self-love you can perform. Eating less salt, avoiding processed foods, cutting trans fats hidden in many packaged products. None of this requires a revolution, just small, consistent decisions. Walk every day, even if it's just 15 minutes. Breathe deeply, mindfully, to better oxygenate your body. Sleep soundly, uninterrupted, giving your heart a rest too. It's not about living in fear, it's about living with awareness. Knowing that your heart, even if it's older, still wants to beat, and it needs your help to keep going. The second major cause of death after 70 often comes through the air, or rather, from the lack of it. Chronic respiratory diseases and lung infections like pneumonia have become a silent threat, especially for those who've been breathing for decades. COPD, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, pneumonia, respiratory infections. This isn't just a stubborn cold. These conditions gradually weaken your ability to breathe, and therefore, to live. What many don't realize is that lungs age too. Over the years, they become less elastic, less efficient. Each breath costs a little more. And if you add the damage from smoking, environmental pollution, or years working around dust, smoke, or chemicals, the outlook worsens. The symptoms are there, but we've grown used to them. A persistent morning cough, feeling like climbing stairs is a marathon, thick mucus that never seems to clear. That familiar line, "I get a bit breathless, but it's just age." That's how Mrs. Agnes spoke. She was 81 and always said she just felt a little tired. "It's normal," she said. "At this age, anyone would be." But that slight shortness of breath kept growing. First, she stopped going to the market. Then she stopped attending church. Finally, she just stayed home. One day, a simple cold turned into pneumonia. Her body no longer had the strength to fight it. She passed away quietly, as if her air had slipped away, little by little, unnoticed by most. But it's not all lost. Far from it. There's plenty we can do. Prevention is our first line of defense. Vaccines, for example. After 65, getting vaccinated against pneumonia and influenza isn't optional. It's essential. What might be a mild annoyance for a young person can be deadly in older adults. Equally important is avoiding polluted environments. Ventilate your home, stay away from wood or tobacco smoke, and keep air filter and heating filters clean. And yes, you can exercise your lungs. You don't need machines, just your breath. Pause. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Repeat several times a day. Simple, free, and powerful. Another great exercise, singing. Hard to believe, but singing strengthens the lungs. Reading aloud helps too, keeping a steady breathing rhythm. And if you can, walk a little every day, even indoors. Movement helps oxygenate the blood, mobilize mucus, and clear your airways. The lungs don't scream, but they complain. They speak in coughs, short gasps, nights waking up breathless. Listen to them, protect them, because as long as your lungs keep breathing well, your life keeps moving forward. Now let's move on to the third cause, one we think we have under control, but often don't. Cancer. It doesn't always hurt, and when it does, it's often too late. After 70, your risk of developing cancer rises significantly. It's not a death sentence, but it is a statistic that calls for heightened vigilance. Why is cancer often detected late in older adults? Because its symptoms mimic other ailments. Because we get used to feeling off. Because we assume it's just age, and we don't want to bother the doctor. Meanwhile, cancer advances in silence. The most common types at this age are colon, prostate, breast, and lung. All of them, if caught early, have treatments that can extend life, even save it. The problem lies in the little warnings we tend to ignore. A slight bleed when using the bathroom, a mole that changes shape or color, a small lump in the breast or under the skin, a persistent cough with no obvious cause, unexplained weight loss, a strange lingering fatigue. Any of these might be nothing, but they could also be everything. Take Ramona, for example. She was 76 when she noticed a small lump in her armpit. She assumed it was just a swollen gland. She waited days, then weeks, then months, and finally, she let it lie. "It doesn't hurt," she said. But over time, it grew. When she finally saw a doctor, the diagnosis was clear: advanced breast cancer. What followed were treatments, uncertainty, exhaustion, a battle, one that might have been shorter, simpler, kinder, if she'd gone sooner. We don't say this to scare you. We say it to remind you cancer doesn't kill because it's cancer. It kills because it arrives too late, because we leave the door open. That's why preventive screenings aren't a luxury or an overreaction. They're an act of self-love. Men should have regular prostate checks. Women should keep up mammograms, even past 60. Everyone, regardless of gender, needs a colonoscopy at least once after 50, especially with family history or symptoms. Skin checks matter too. Moles that change, new spots, sores that won't heal. And any unexplained weight loss deserves attention. Detecting cancer early isn't always possible, but detecting it early is, and that can mean the difference between a short life and a longer, more peaceful, more fulfilling one. Listen to your body. Heed it, even when it doesn't hurt. Because often the most dangerous thing doesn't hurt. It just advances. And now we arrive at the fourth great cause, perhaps the most underestimated. The one many think was just a stumble, but which can actually be the beginning of the end. Falls. Damn falls. I don't say it in anger, but in sorrow. Because behind every fracture in an older adult is a story that often doesn't end well. Hear this. A serious fall, like a hip fracture, can cut life expectancy by up to 50%. Yes, half. Not because the break itself is lethal, but because of everything that follows. Immobility, pain, depression, loss of independence, respiratory complications, hospital-acquired infections, a body that slowly fades. Mr. Arthur was 83. He lived alone, managed well, cooked, watered his plants, even took morning walks. Until one night, on his way to the kitchen for a glass of water, he tripped on a poorly placed rug. He fell badly, hip fracture. They operated, of course, but he never walked unaided again. He stopped going out. His spirits sank. And a year later, he was gone. Quietly, as if he'd fallen from the inside too. That's why we press so hard on prevention. A fall isn't just an accident, it's a before and after. What are the warning signs? Frequent dizziness, a sense of imbalance, insecurity when walking, relying too much on furniture or walls for support, loss of muscle mass in the legs, a constant fear of moving. All of these are your body saying, something's not stable. And here's the most important part. Most falls can be prevented. First, review your medications. Many cause drowsiness, low blood pressure, or balance issues. A good doctor can adjust them to keep you safer. Second, adapt your home. Remove loose rugs. Add grab bars in the bathroom and near the bed. Ensure good lighting in hallways. Keep everything within reach. Don't use chairs to fetch things. Not worth the risk. Third, and equally vital, strengthen your legs. Even if you're over 80, even if they hurt. Walk every day, even indoors. Do simple balance exercises. Step up and down a stair with support. Or just sit and stand from a sturdy chair without using your hands. Want an easy routine? Try this each morning. Hold onto a chair back and rise onto your toes as if standing on tiptoe. Repeat 10 times. Next, lift one leg forward while holding on. Hold 5 seconds. Lower it. Switch legs. Do 5 reps each side. Finally, if you can, try standing on one foot. Use support if needed. All this takes under 5 minutes and can mean the difference between keeping your independence or losing it. Remember, hip fractures don't just break bones. They shatter routines. They shatter freedom. They shatter life as you know it. And often it starts with a stumble that seemed trivial. But you can stop it from happening. Prevention isn't living in fear. It's living with awareness. And that is living better. But what if I told you there's a hidden, silent cause that doesn't make headlines, yet fuels almost every other one? It's called chronic inflammation, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't burn like an injury or swell like a bruise, but it lurks deep in the body day after day, like embers that never fully go out. Systemic inflammation isn't a disease itself. It's a state, a low flame that saps your energy, weakens organs, and gradually damages cells. And the worst part, it's directly linked to heart attacks, lung decline, cancer development, falls, even mental frailty. Everything. How do we detect it? That's the challenge. Chronic inflammation gives no clear alarm, no obvious signal. But you can sense it, if you know what to listen for. Have you ever felt a general ache, as if your body is weighed down for no reason? Constant fatigue despite good sleep. Brain fog, like thinking takes more effort than normal. Those can all be signs. An inflamed body tires more easily. It digests more slowly, fights off infections less effectively, and heals more slowly. But here's the good news. We can fight it. And you don't need magic medicine, just small habit changes. Let's start with diet. The eating plan most studied for reducing inflammation is the Mediterranean diet. It's not a fad, it's a lifesaver. More fresh vegetables, more whole fruits, not processed juices. Healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, nuts. Omega-3 rich fish like salmon or sardines, legumes and whole grains. And above all, fewer ultra-processed foods, fewer fried dishes, less white sugar. A powerful ingredient? Turmeric, the yellow spice you might overlook. It has real anti-inflammatory effects. A pinch with black pepper and olive oil, and it's pure gold for your body. What about movement? No need for marathons. Just move mindfully. Gentle daily walks, deep breathing while you observe your surroundings, slow stretches, tai chi, adapted yoga, or even raising and lowering your arms to soft music. And here's something often overlooked. Calm. Inflammation feeds on stress. Even 5 minutes of meditation each day can be more potent than many drugs. Sit, close your eyes, breathe, let your body relax without doing anything else. Do it daily, and you tell your body, you're safe. When your body feels safe, it dials down its internal fire. It's not about eliminating inflammation. It's impossible. But you can keep it from becoming a constant, hidden threat, a silent enemy that wears you down without you noticing. So today, start with one thing. Choose one more natural meal. Walk 10 minutes. Take 3 calm, deep breaths. And repeat every day. Because sometimes the worst damage is the damage you never see. By now, you might be asking the most important question of all. How do I know if I am at risk? That's the key. Because many times our bodies don't shout clear warnings. No alarm bell, no sharp pain screaming, something serious is happening. After 70, what usually happens is this. The signals overlap. They blend together. They mask each other. One day you feel more tired. The next you lose your appetite. A week later, climbing stairs feels harder, and you blame the weather, your age, or a bad night's sleep. You don't connect the dots. And that's where danger lies. Because when symptoms overlap, they lose urgency, yet become more dangerous. Mild but persistent fatigue, unexplained weight loss, soft aches that linger, changes in sleep patterns, slight swelling in legs or abdomen, or just a sense that something isn't right. Has that happened to you, or someone you know? Here's a tool that can help. A health journal. You don't need expertise, just a notebook or a sheet on the fridge. Each day or week, note how you feel. How did you sleep? Did you have an appetite? Did you feel energetic? Did you have trouble breathing? Any pain? Where? How intense? When? Over time, that record is pure gold. It shows patterns your memory might miss. And best of all, it gives your doctor a fuller picture, not just a single snapshot. Because if you only visit the doctor when something hurts bad, it could already be too late. This isn't to scare you, it's to empower you. Imagine doing a simple self-check each month. It takes under 5 minutes. Questions like, can I breathe easily when I walk or talk? Do I sleep through the night or wake often? Have I lost weight without trying? How is my appetite? Has it changed? Do I feel energetic or struggle to start the day? Can I move as easily as I did a month ago? If any answer gives you pause, don't ignore it. Note it. Share it with your doctor, because early detection doesn't mean waiting for an emergency. It means paying attention before your body has to shout. Your body always speaks, sometimes clearly, sometimes in whispers, and your task is to learn how to listen. In the final part of this video, we'll close with a powerful reflection, a call to action, but also to life. Because all this information means nothing if you don't turn it into real care. We've talked a lot about risks, diseases, signals sent in silence. But now I want us to look to the other shore. Prevention, conscious care. What you can do today to strengthen your health and keep those 4 killers at bay. To make it clear, I'll share 4 pillars, 4 fundamental habits that, when practiced consistently, become daily medicine. No side effects, no complicated prescriptions. The first pillar is nutrition. Not impossible diets or calorie counting. I mean nourishing yourself with what truly matters, what fuels you, sustains you, doesn't inflame you. After a certain age, you need less quantity but more quality. Easy to digest proteins, plenty of cooked vegetables, healthy fats like olive oil and nuts, a bit of fish, legumes. Cutting sugar isn't just for diabetics, it's to avoid inflammation. Avoiding ultra-processed foods isn't trendy, it's respecting your body. What helps most? Simplicity. A homemade soup, a colorful salad, a dish of lentils with carrots and turmeric. That's medicine too. The second pillar is movement. Let me be clear, you don't need to play sports or hit the gym. You just need to move every day. Walk, swing your arms, stretch your legs, step up and down carefully, dance to some music, rotate your ankles. That's enough. Because when you stop moving, everything fades faster. Muscles weaken, lungs shrink, blood flows slower. Moving reminds your body you're still here and still want to be alive. The third pillar is connection. Loneliness doesn't just hurt, it makes you sick. Being without conversation, without sharing a thought, without eye contact, wears you down more than any illness. Research shows loneliness speeds cognitive decline, weakens immunity, raises cardiovascular risk. So don't wait for someone to call you. Reach out. Visit the community center. Sign up for that class you've always hesitated to try. Comment below if you have nobody to talk to. Sometimes the first step out of loneliness is saying it. Finally, the fourth pillar is purpose. I'm not talking grand missions, just that small reason you get up, watering your plants, caring for your cat, calling your grandchild, writing your memoirs, telling the world your story. People with purpose live longer. It's no coincidence. The body listens to what the soul tells it. If the soul is in motion, the body follows. These 4 pillars, nutrition, movement, connection, purpose, don't just prevent disease. They give each day a frame, give your heart a reason, and give time, dignity. By now, you may be thinking, what if I already have one of those conditions? What if I'm already diagnosed? What if my body isn't the same? Listen with your whole heart. That doesn't mean all is lost. It doesn't mean there's nothing left to do. It doesn't mean the story is over. Yes, you may live with hypertension, or have been told you have COPD, or be undergoing cancer treatment. You might have survived a heart attack. But you know what? Surviving isn't the same as giving up. And even with a diagnosis, you can live better, more fully, with less pain and more purpose. The key lies in 3 things that don't depend solely on doctors. They depend on you, and you can start them today. First, adapt your environment. Your home can become your ally. Avoid unnecessary stairs. Keep important items within reach. Ensure good lighting, a comfortable chair, a space to breathe calmly. It may seem small, but it changes everything. It reduces accidents and restores autonomy. Second, Maintain your routines. You might not do everything as before, but that doesn't mean you can't have structure. Wake up at the same time. Make yourself a nurturing breakfast. Walk, even if only 5 minutes. Keep a journal of how you feel. Turn on the radio at the same hour. Routines hold up your spirit when your body wavers. They remind you that you can still choose, and that every day has something that's yours. Third, care for your mind. Physical illness doesn't have to drag down your emotions. I say this with respect, knowing there are hard days, days of fear, days of pain, days when you don't even want to open your eyes. But there are resources: soft music, inspiring reading, honest conversations, short meditations, and yes, even psychologists who specialize in older adults. The mind needs care, and when it feels supported, the body heals better too. Want a real example? Louise is 83 and has lived with COPD for 10 years. Doctors told her to move as little as possible, but she refused to give up. She didn't try running marathons again, but she adapted her life. She walks in her backyard, breathes deeply each morning and every afternoon, teaches painting to neighborhood children. Louise laughs, breathes calmly, and each brushstroke reminds her she's alive. And that, quality of life, is everything. Because listen closely. Life doesn't end with a diagnosis. It ends when we stop deciding, when we stop creating moments worth living. And you, yes you, can still decide. You still have time. You still have much to live, much to give, and much to enjoy. So instead of asking, why me? Perhaps ask, what can I do today to feel better? Even if the answer is small, like making yourself a calming cup of tea, it's already an act of self-love. Thank you for staying with us until here. If this journey has taught us anything, it's that it's not just about living more years, but living them better, with awareness, with dignity, with self-love. Because in the end, it's not the number of years that counts, but how we inhabit them, how we feel them, how we defend them with small daily choices. The 4 causes we covered today, cardiovascular disease, respiratory issues, cancer, and falls, aren't a sentence. They aren't a written fate. They're warnings. Signs that we can still act. We can still change habits. We can still prevent. We can still strengthen body and mind. We can still choose how to grow old. And that is true freedom, knowing not everything is left to chance. That with information, care, and consciousness, we can build a sturdier, fuller, more personal old age. Did any of these causes resonate with you? Have you or someone you love faced something similar? I read every comment. Sharing our stories heals, strengthens, and inspires. And if this kind of content helps you, makes you think, or simply keeps you company, subscribe. Here we speak without fear, with respect, and with truth. Because aging shouldn't be taboo. It should be an act of wisdom. See you in the next video. In the meantime, take care of your body, listen to your soul, and keep walking. Because the path doesn't end. It only transforms.